Greetings, Silkies! It's been a while since I made a video. Today I'm going to talk about how I started freelance modeling. I did have a couple of videos before, but they weren't very clear and I have more experience now at this point in my life, so I figured I'd redo the video and just put everything all together all at once. Okay, so what I'll talk about is past, present, and future with the modeling for me. As I said before, I am freelance and I am an alternative model. So with the whole modeling thing, I'm in a small niche as it is, being gothic, alternative, and also being black. And that's a very small niche because being an alternative model just in general is a small niche in the modeling industry, because most modeling you think of like Victoria's Secret and all that, you know, big mainstream stuff. Now, starting with the past, since it was really rough start for me, I started officially thinking about it when I was back in probably my first year of college. I was about 19 or 20, and I've had people tell me like back then that, oh, you should be a model, you definitely got the figure, you know, the look, and blah blah blah. And at that time I wasn't quite as into the gothic fashion as much. I was into the gothic lifestyle, subculture, but I wasn't quite, you know, like this right now. So what happened was, at that time I'm just kind of like, nah, you know, I mean, I couldn't do it anyway, I didn't have any transportation, so I just kind of shrugged it off. And after my 2 kids, I entered a couple of modeling competitions, and I succeeded at both of them. I don't know what the judges saw with me back then. I just had something and they were impressed. So I'm like, okay, maybe, you know, maybe I might consider doing this. But I had other things going on in my life, so I did not pursue it at the time. Then maybe about 3 years ago, I had another model, I will not mention their name, actually get me started into it, and I was like, you know, nah, that's still not for me. I don't know if I could do it because, you know, like when I think of models, or at that time, I thought of models, I thought, you know, skinny, super tall, just a whole bunch of things, you know, super talented, and like I would think about Razor Candy and Adora Batbrag, because they're both skinny and Caucasian, and they have all these elaborate outfits and all this awesome makeup, and I was just thinking like, okay, I don't know if I could do this, but I still will give it a try. And my first couple of shoots were pretty an interesting experience for me. I did a fantasy one for my very first one, and I loved the results of it. And I also did one that was pinup like, and I really liked it. Like, I'm like, okay, well maybe, you know, I could do this. So over the years, you know, I was thinking about a lot of things, and I had a lot of experiences. So with being a freelance model and you're not agency represented, you have to pretty much market yourself. And how you market yourself, you know, will be the pinnacle of whether or not you get work or not. So that's something I had to learn throughout the way of what I wanted to do specifically. I didn't want to just do one style of goth, because I like all types of it. And I also love pinup, so some people call it gothabilly, whatever. And I liked all of it. I'm just like, why should I stick to this one thing? And I like all this stuff. So I'm pretty diverse with my stuff. As far as marketing yourself, when you post up pictures and you do finally model and you get started, you're going to have to keep in mind that whatever you post is on the internet forever. You may delete it, but it's still probably floating around somewhere. So whatever you do, you gotta be comfortable with what you do. That's a huge thing with the modeling. It's been comfortable, and it took me quite a while to get comfortable, you know, with my body, and trying to figure out, okay, well, this doesn't look as good as that, and I don't quite like the way I look in that pose. And pretty much do your research on it. Even research like how mainstream models pose. It may not be something that you want to do, but you gotta, learn some of the basics. As far as if you have tattoos or if you have piercings, you gotta like do your makeup in a way that's gonna flatter your piercings. What's gonna flatter your tattoos when you don't have tattoos? You're not worried about showing it too much. Like example on my arm, but if you want to show off your tats, you kind of gotta pose a little bit, to get your get your best assets to show. Um, so yeah, the whole being careful thing. Some people are sleazeballs out there. I will do another video about being careful with freelance modeling, but you got to be careful with that. When you first start out, as with me, don't expect to get paid. Okay, you might have to pay a couple of really professional photographers just to get your portfolio built up and built up well. But yes, it is definitely worth the money to for some photographers to help build up that portfolio of yours because you want it to look professional because you want to represent who you are and what you're about. Um, so getting paid, if that's your goal long term, then you have to definitely show that you're worth getting paid. At this point in my modeling, I am getting paid for shoots now. I'm doing paid only mostly, unless I can work something out with a photographer, but other than that, I'm mostly doing paid stuff. And at this time, I'm also doing promotional stuff, like promo for companies, like uh, pretty much just advertising their clothes or their accessories and stuff like that. As far as the clothes and being glam, I mean, most of the stuff that I wore and stuff like that, I had to buy myself because photographers don't throw clothes at you unless that's what you or that's what they want to do. Like say like, oh, they want you to wear a specific dress for your shoot or something like that. But usually it's the photographers and it's not yours. So and sometimes you might keep it, but it depends. But don't expect that every single time. Traveling is something that you might want to consider being a freelance model because there are opportunities out there that are difficult to get unless you travel around. And I know from my experience, my area it was a small town. I'm moving from it pretty soon, which is great. But in the past, I'm in a small town, and there are very select photographers who want to work with someone who looks this extreme because most photographers are going for what they want to market. Many things that are high on the market, and being an alternative Gothic model, I'm not quite high on the market for a small town. They're mostly going for like wedding photography and landscape. You can't go wrong with either of those two. So for traveling, I've been to different states and I've actually had more opportunity in different places. So basically, it depends on what you're going for. If you're trying to get well known and get lots of photo shoots and stuff like that, then traveling is a must. It's definitely a must. And if you're just going just to have fun and be creative, you could do like self shoots and just get a really good camera and take some really good pictures. Because to be honest, some of my best pictures that I have are actually taken by myself. Um, but some photographers that I work with have definitely taken some really great pictures of me too. Now, also being freelance, you gotta expect flakes too. Try not to be one of those people either. But flaking is something that happens because you're not with the agency, the photographer's not getting paid unless you're paying them. And even then, you should definitely, not tolerate it. But um, flakes are pretty bad. Like, what that means as far as the whole modeling thing is that you schedule a photo shoot with somebody and all of a sudden they decide to like not show up, no call, no show type of thing. And I try to do my best to warn people about to avoid people who have a history of that. So always check credentials with whoever you work with. As far as makeup and wardrobe, it is essential that you have that straight because it will mess up your whole shoot. if you are unable to do your own makeup or your own wardrobe, you could hire somebody to do it for you. Or maybe somebody you know who does makeup really well, because I have seen this with photo shoots and I've had my mess ups too when I first started out. But I mean, like, you'll have some people who have like their eyelashes falling off, or their hair just kind of flipped a weird way. I mean, photographers that are really good at editing can edit it for you, but it's really best if you just, you know, have that extra experience. Get over 800 subscribers at some point, so thank you all. I'm almost up to 900, so it'd be great if you could all share my page and hit that subscribe button.